Hey guys, Captain Dylan Hubbard here at Hubbard's Marina, and it's time for that live stream show. That's right, Off the Hook with Captain Hubbard is starting now. Happy Sunday night, y'all. It is October 16th, and we are ready to get rolling on tonight's live stream show. Hopefully you're ready for a great show. Remember, in order to win those free trips, you do have to comment at least one time in order to be eligible to win. Richard Blazak, appreciate those stars, buddy. Christine and Pete Kalitis, appreciate those stars as well. Thank you so much, y'all. I think I missed some other people in the beginning of the video. Sorry about that. Tony Barnes with 500. What's up, man? Thanks for coming to Bass Pro and joining me today for the Bass Pro Shop seminar. It was a lot of fun today. Unfortunately, kind of a weak turnout, but still a great time. And because there was less people there, they were able to really kind of connect more one-on-one and get their questions all answered. Bobby Marie, appreciate those 200 stars. Stephen Batchelor as well. Larry White, what's up, buddy? With 500 stars. Thank you so much, Larry. For those of you watching on Instagram and YouTube, stars are a way for people watching on Facebook to show their support, and that is on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook page. If you're watching on the Captain Dylan Hubbard page, the Real Animals page, Bull Bay Rods, one of those other pages, you can't send stars through those pages, just the Hubbard's Marina page on Facebook. But we really appreciate you watching, regardless of where you're watching from or regardless of whether or not you send stars. Also, want to make sure we give a shout out to our friends over there at Gator Jim's Tackle, 3301 Pinellas Point Drive South in St. Pete. If you haven't been over there to check out our friends Gator Jim's, make sure you do so. They have a huge selection, super nice people. They got it all over there in killer deals. Make sure you stop in 3301 Pinellas Point Drive South in St. Pete. Tell our friends over at Gator Jim's that Hubbard's Marina sent you, and you'll get a free gift if you bring in a young angler and mention Hubbard's Marina at Gator Jim's. So make sure you check them out and say hello. D Beers with 1,000 stars. Thank you so much, D. Appreciate you guys. Scott Flynn, appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. D Beers again. Thank you. Appreciate all the stars senders. Again, it's just a way to show support if you're watching on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook page, and it's super appreciated. Kind of fuels the show and helps us do more cool things with the show as well. So we appreciate it. Now, I mentioned earlier, and I want to mention it again, if you want a chance to win free trips, make sure you comment at least one time. Say anything you want, but you have to comment once on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream. So you have to be on Facebook, you have to find the Hubbard's Marina page, find the live video, and comment at least one time. Anything you want, at least one time, and you're entered for a chance to win. Then you have to watch the show live, because if you happen to be picked as one of those lucky winners, you have to text us at the phone number at the bottom of the screen within 5 minutes to prove you're watching live. And that's how you get a chance to win those free trips. If you're not watching live and you miss responding, then you don't win your free trip. So you have to comment once, watch the show live, and claim your free trip if you're picked as a lucky winner. So make sure you stay tuned and comment once for a chance to win over $800 in free trips. We're going to give away a 5-hour half day for 2, a 10-hour all day for 2, a 39-hour for 1, and a Salinity Gear gift pack from our friends over at Salinity Gear. So make sure you comment and watch live. David Pruitt with 500 stars. Thanks, buddy. Richard Fonzo, thanks for the stars. Philip Cavanaugh with 1,000 stars. Appreciate you, man. Thanks, Philip. All right, so we talked about that. Also, don't forget to comment and let us know where you're watching from. Really appreciate that. Always super helpful. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up or a like. If you're watching on YouTube, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. If you're watching on Facebook, give it a like. Instagram, don't forget to double tap. Liking the video and commenting, but liking the video helps us spread the word, helps more people see the video, and helps more people find out about our live stream show. So please make sure you like the video, subscribe to our channel, and share the video with your favorite fishing club. If you're watching on YouTube, again, YouTube, Trovo, Twitch, make sure you subscribe to our channels. On Instagram, remember, if you pop over to your phone's browser, you'll be able to watch the full screen. If you pop over to your browser, go to Instagram.com, and then you can find the video, turn your phone sideways, and you'll be able to see this full screen. If you're watching on the Instagram app, you'll only see the very middle of the screen, so keep that in mind. Tim Dykes, appreciate those 700 stars, buddy. And Jeff Reedy with 50 stars. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. All right. So with that, let's get into our photos and show you guys what we've been catching inshore. Then we're going to work our way near shore and offshore and talk a little bit about that. We'll mention the weather here real quickly, and then we'll get into your questions. So let's see what we've been catching inshore, and then we'll work our way near shore and offshore. Inshore right now, we've been seeing some real nice black drum. Very surprised to see some big black drum really still kicking around, but we've been seeing quite a few nice ones turned in this week on our submittals for the news broadcast. Remember, if you catch a fish that you want possibly included on our Friday morning news segment or this Sunday night show, you can text us at our main office number, the phone number on the screen. Text us your photos. They have to be recent, they have to be local, and inshore, nearshore, and offshore, it doesn't matter. If they're recent, local photos, we'll submit them, and they potentially might get featured on our news segment Friday morning at 8:15 a.m. on Fox Channel 13 News, and of course, during our live stream show as well. Tim Harris, appreciate those 1,000 stars, buddy. Really appreciate that, Tim. All right, so black drum. How about this one? That's a bonefish. Very, very cool fish right there. That's our good buddy Dylan. Caught that bonefish over there at one of his local fishing spots. My mouse is gone. Nice bonefish inshore on a shrimp, which is super surprising that he was able to catch a bonefish in our area, and then to be able to catch it at night around a bridge is very interesting. So nice little bonefish on some live shrimp at a local bridge, fishing the bridge lights, so you never know. Also, the redfish bite. Redfish bite has been popping around the area. Still quite a few redfish being caught. A lot of those schools kind of made their way near shore and offshore. They kind of poured out of the passes behind Hurricane Ian. But still a few of them around. Not big concentrations right now, but quite a few still being reported in and photos being sent to us and submitted for the Friday morning news segment. Another nice redfish there. Beautiful fish. Really, really focused around the grass flats, mangrove shorelines, but still a few moving around the passes, even on the beach and jetty. And as those fish start to come back in, we'll probably see another big push around the passes and beaches as a lot of those fish return to the bay. Snook action, still surprisingly, some snook being caught on the beach and in the passes at night around bridge lights, dock lights. So still some snook around the passes. Selena Sharp, appreciate those 300 stars. Thank you very much. Another nice snook there from our buddy John. Some fun-sized snook in the back bay. A lot of these fish really, really excited right now as they're on the move back to the rivers, creeks, bayous. Some really big snook have been caught at local entrances to those rivers and bayous. Here's one right from our dock at Hubbard's Marina. Definitely snook cruising those canals and those choke points on their way back to the back bay areas. Nice little fun-sized tarpon. Still some tarpon around, especially as you hunt snook in the back bay areas, those rivers, creeks. You're going to run into some fun-sized tarpon for sure. Nice big old trout from our buddy John at one of our local bridge lights. Another nice snook trout. The trout action has been kind of spotty, but you're able to find them if you find those little pockets or cuts adjacent to grass flats, oyster bars, mangrove shorelines. We actually had more trout photos submitted this past week than normal, which is pretty cool. And definitely some nice fish moving around. And as water temperatures cool, they seem to be pretty darn hungry. So all good stuff there. Another nice redfish. Back Bay area, live shrimp, been working well. And that's about it inshore. Definitely the hot bite lately is still remaining to be the redfish. Sheepshead are picking up, still seeing a lot of snook. Pretty good week this past week on the trout. Flounder starting to pick up too. So good time to get out there inshore, especially as those sheepshead start to congregate. I think we're going to see more and more of those sheepshead photos rolling in. We've been seeing some nice big black sea bass near shore, and we should hopefully see more of them as water continues to cool down. Hogfish action is picking up as water temperatures cool down. We're seeing hogfish more and more frequently. Not huge numbers of the hogfish, but they're definitely picking up quite a bit. So we're excited about that. It is an exciting time of year to be out there near shore fishing. You can see quite a few hogfish coming in on our 5-hour half day, 10-hour all days, those near shore private charters. It is that time of year, folks, where the hogfish are going to start popping and hopefully get more and more concentrated as we move into the winter time patterns here on our near shore and offshore fishery. Also, before I forget, don't forget about our supporters after show. If you're a supporter, we're going to start that after show at 9:55. So after our main show ends, the supporters after show kicks up shortly thereafter, and that's a great time, a little bit more one-on-one stuff, and definitely a lot of fun. Our supporters group is only $4.99 a month to join, and that's going to give you access to behind-the-scenes info, a little bit more communication, and that weekly after show after our main live show. It's time to give away our first free trip of the night. We talked about inshore, nearshore, and offshore fishing, showed you the photos. Now we're about to get into the weather and then your questions. And in the meantime, we're going to throw in some giveaways. So our first free trip of the night, let's give away a 10-hour all day for 2 guests. 10-hour all day for 2 guests. Let's see who the lucky winner is of that 10-hour all day trip. Lucky winner is Rose Robinson for a 10-hour all day trip for 2 guests. Congratulations, Rose from Lakeland. Glad you are joining us, Rose. You just won a 10-hour all day for 2 guests. You got 5 minutes or less to claim it by texting the phone number on the screen. So make sure you claim it. We still got a 5-hour half day for 2 guests and a 39-hour trip for 1, and that Salinity Gear gift pack to give away too. So stay tuned, y'all. Still plenty more show to go. So with that, it is time to get into the weather and talk to y'all a little bit about what's going on weather-wise right now. And then we'll get into your questions. Remember, if you have a question you want answered live during the show, shoot us a text message to the phone number on the screen. So in order to get into the weather, we're going to go to hubbardsmarina.com, click Fishing Trips. We're going to scroll down to our weather links page. We're going to first look at our wind finder forecast, which is top right on the weather links page. We're going to click the 5 and 10 hour forecast area just to start and see where the wind's at. Winds are a little bit higher, a little bit more moderate through the period, especially there the 18th and 19th, unfortunately. Basically what we got going on now is a high pressure kind of settling in on us, then that south wind setting up for a cold front that looks like it's sped up a little bit. It's going to kind of start rolling through Tuesday midday, it seems like. Then that north wind pattern hangs out with us for a few days. Going to make it chilly. Going to make it a little cold for us Floridians. And then finally start shifting back out of the east as a high pressure settles in through the weekend. So that's what we're looking at. A little bit more moderate winds through the period. Best weather days as far as wind and waves are concerned. Look like Monday we have a slight chance of rain, but wind and waves are down. Then Tuesday, wind's going to pick up. Waves are going to pick up through Wednesday. It's going to calm down there. Thursday, Friday looks like a gorgeous day. Wind still out of the north, so that might make it a little challenging. But I would say right now, with this current forecast, Saturday looks like the best days. Plus, we'll be coming up right before a new moon. So if this forecast holds, that would be the best day. Front comes through Tuesday, kind of a weaker front, not super strong. 2 days later, behind the front, Friday, wind dies down, seas die down, and also the clouds go away. It really looks like it's going to be a nice day on the water Friday and into Saturday. So Saturday, the winds pick up a little bit, but that's because that high pressure is settling in. So that barometer will be moving. So according to this, Friday, Saturday look like the best days, followed by Monday being the second best day. So Friday, Saturday, and Monday. But we're going to go back to our Weather Links page. We're going to confirm what we just looked at by going to the bottom of our Weather Links page and going to our buddy Mike's weather page right down here towards the third, maybe a halfway down, a little bit more than halfway down. This third column over is what I call the prog charts. I think what they call the prog charts. I don't know. It's just what my dad's always called them. High pressure, you can see, settled on us, and that doesn't change tomorrow, Monday. That rain is prefrontal activity. So as that high pressure secedes and that low pressure pushes down on the area, it's got rain in front of it. So prefrontal activity, pretty common, but it also makes the fish kind of excited because they know bad weather's coming. So tomorrow might have a slight chance of rain, but fishing should be pretty darn good, and the winds aren't going to be super high, waves aren't going to be super high. This is Tuesday. That front's coming through. We're still going to have some storms, probably central to South Florida. And then Wednesday, front is past us. You can see here, this is Wednesday. The front is past us. And then Thursday, high pressure starts to try to settle in. There's still a low pressure kind of battling over the area. Friday looks real nice. High pressure settling in. Front has seceded. And then this one Saturday, frontal boundary still kind of pressure ridging with that high pressure. That's what's going to cause the wind to pick up a little bit Saturday and into Sunday. Still looking right. So again, those further confirm what we just mentioned. Friday being the best day. Friday, Saturday being the best day. If all those patterns hold true and it does what they're forecasting. And then Monday still looks like a pretty good day. A little higher chance of rain Monday, but strong chance the fishing should be pretty good as that front pushes down into the area. So that's what we're looking at weather-wise this week. Plus, we're on that last quarter moon coming into a new moon. So with that, it is time to get into some of your questions. Hopefully you all have some questions for us. Remember, if you want a chance to have your question answered live on the show, you got to text it to that phone number right there at the bottom of the screen. What is the latest on the big boat? The big boat, the Florida Fisherman, is in dry dock currently. It's scheduled to run its first trip October 28th, and it is 100% on track to be back on time. Probably not going to be back early, but when it's back, it should be pretty much fully done. A lot of times we come back from dry dock and we still have to paint the deck, or we still have to do this, or this is left off the list. When this boat comes back from dry dock this go around this year, it's going to be almost completely done. Decks painted, really, really, really cool stuff. So I'm excited. I'm excited for the big boat to come back. She's looking good, and the guys have been working really hard and doing a great job getting the Florida fishermen ready to get fishing again. Next question, what are your thoughts or theories on the 90% missing snow crab population, including the notion that they fell off the shelf? So pretty interesting that I get asked this question after the week that I've had. So I was actually, keep that up, Josh, because I don't want to miss out on answering any part of that question. But this past week, I was actually in Maine for the Marine Resource Education Program, hanging out with different contingents from across the nation. So North Pacific, New England, Mid-Atlantic, Caribbean, and Southeast regions. Remember, there's 8 councils. So the Gulf of Mexico Fishery Management Council manages the Gulf. But there's a New England Council, Mid-Atlantic Council, South Atlantic Council, Caribbean Council, Gulf Council, Pacific Council, North Pacific Council, and then West Pacific Council. Total of 8 councils that manage our nation's fisheries. So we obviously deal with the Gulf Council. It was really interesting spending a week in Maine and talking to people who fish other parts of our great country, like New England, North Atlantic, North Pacific, people that fish out of Washington State, Oregon, North California, South California, and even Alaska. This one guy there had been fishing the Bering Sea for 33 winters on a 155-foot vessel. Super cool people. And what was really interesting to me is in the Gulf, with my blinders on, focusing on Gulf of Mexico fisheries, we have a pretty substantial fishery. There's a lot of people that fish in the Gulf, right? But our entire quota, our biggest quota, is for red snapper. That's the largest quota we have in the Gulf. It's like 15 million pounds is our ABC, or allowable biological catch. It's a round number, but it's about 15 million pounds. These people that I was hanging out with, one person caught 60 million pounds last year of ground fish, what they call ground fish, or haddock or pollock. Another person caught 1.2 million pounds in a day. So it's just really crazy that the Gulf of Mexico we picture as this really robust, large fishery that there's a ton of people out there fishing. But in these other areas, there's less people fishing, but man, they put a whole different definition on fishing. It's crazy. So long story short, your question about what do I think happened with the crab, a lot of what was talked about this week between these fishermen was climate change and warming oceans and what its effect has been on fishing. So what happened in the Bering Sea this year, there's no crab quota for snow crab or opilio crab, and a lot of other crab populations have just totally disappeared, like no crab left. And so what they talked about is the crab have fallen off the shelf or moved into deeper water. At least that's one of the notions that is potentially the reasoning behind why there's no crab left. And the measurements in the Bering Sea, there's some areas that temperatures have increased almost 15 degrees in areas where it's been historically a lot cooler. And that's what they're thinking happened to the crab. They either all died or they went into deeper water to stay cooler. And in the North Atlantic, off the New England coast, the anchovy population has totally disappeared. Either they all died or they went into deeper water to stay cooler because there's no more anchovies. They can't find them anywhere, where that used to be a really robust fishery, and it was a what they call a forage fish, or basically a base of the food pyramid. So really, really interesting that these fisheries have shifted so much due to changing temperatures. And even being in New England, one really cool thing that I found out was there's boats running kingfish charters in Cape Cod. So that's never, ever been the case. I mean, kingfish have never been that far north. So species of fish are starting to shift further north than they ever used to be because water temperatures are getting warmer in areas that they never used to have that amount of warm water. So whether you believe it or not, it's very political to me. I mean, climate change, the whole thing, I don't really like talking about it, but it was one of those things where being in the Gulf and we kind of keep our blinders on, seeing these other areas and hearing fishermen say, oh yeah, it's a lot warmer than it ever used to be. And here's the difference. Here's what we're seeing on the water that I've never saw before. And to see someone who's fished the Bering Sea for 33 winters, who's very experienced, say, oh yeah, I've never seen anything like this in my life. It's a little eye-opening, to say the least. So, and David Pruitt, to your comment about reading an article where other countries are allowed to fish for crab, but we aren't. Remember, we're managed by MSA, or the Magnuson-Stevens Act, and we are very conservative when it comes to our approach on fisheries. Other countries don't have such strict fishing regulations, and they collapse their fisheries. Look at China, Taiwan, Japan. They fish off the coast of Costa Rica. When I was in Costa Rica with Captain Mike Anderson doing the Real Animals film shoot down there, we're passing Taiwanese long-lining vessels. China spent like $20 million to build the Costa Rican government a soccer stadium for the rights to fish Costa Rican waters. So these other countries, they don't have as strict regulations on fishing, so they fish so hard to the point they're not catching fish anymore in their own waters, so then they go further out. And that's why Magnuson-Stevens Act was originally created. It keeps other foreign flag vessels off of our nation's natural resources. That's why you don't see a bunch of Chinese boats in the Gulf of Mexico longlining, because of our Magnuson-Stevens Act. But off the coast of Alaska, we're only 50 miles from Russia at certain points of Alaska. And because those countries are so close together, then it allows other boats to get a lot closer to our country's natural resources and our country's coastline. But that really is only an issue in like the far West Pacific and the North Pacific off of Alaska. So pretty interesting. There's a lot to that question, but great question. And as far as what it means for us in the Gulf, it will be really interesting because we're seeing the effect on cobia and kingfish right now. But I don't know. Hopefully we get a kingfish run this fall. We didn't really get a good one in spring, and the guys in West Gulf off of Texas, Louisiana, they haven't seen kingfish in a year. So I don't know. I don't know what the trickle-down effect will be, and no one really does. They're really wrestling with that right now at the federal level, what to do about this. And as species shift, how do they manage that? But on a different note, Captain Mike Anderson is on the line. What's up, buddy? Did you fall asleep on me?
What's up?
What's up? Did you win your softball? You win your softball tournament, buddy?
No.
Oh, so
no, and I'm all beat up, but for some reason I enjoy it.
And the Packers lost today, huh?
Yeah, and the Packers looked horrible. So it's all good, which is a beautiful thing because I have fishing. I have the great Dylan Hubbard to turn to when I need to not be so annoyed by my Packers and my lousy softball play and all that. So good stuff. Really good conversation on the water temps there. Really nicely done.
Oh,
it's interesting to see. You know, I mean, you know me. I'm a large advocate for more. We need more science. We need to know exactly what's going on and really understand these fisheries so we don't booger ourselves up like we've seen so many of these other countries do. So I had a really neat opportunity last week on Thursday. I got invited to a lunch, which was through a group of CEOs, like a CEO leadership group. And my good buddy Ed Alsasser from Prime Group Insurance, he's the CEO over there. He sits on the board for this CEO group, and he went to college at the University of Indiana with a man by the name of Chris Fisher.
Okay.
And I think a lot of people know that name from all the shark research that they have done.
Yeah.
O-Search is his boat, and he's done TV shows about sharks. And it was really a really neat lunch And it's not, go figure. Those of you who know me, that's not really my scene. Like, we're going to spend lunch listening to somebody else talk about whatever. I'm like, no, I'll be fishing. But I took the day off to make sure I could be at that luncheon and listen to Chris. And it was super interesting.
Cool.
And yeah, they've come up with really great science on the great white population and the movement. How far they move. I mean, they move from all the way up off of Maine, all the way into the Gulf of Mexico.
Oh, yeah.
And now, because of Chris's research and what their teams have done and what they've been able to do with the scientists, and they've been able to track that migration, which is really interesting to me. And my question to him was, how do we win this battle?
How do we catch a great white? Is that what
no, but for other species, how do we do a better job of getting the science right for gag grouper and red grouper and amberjack and all of these battles that we fight in the Gulf of Mexico?
Yeah.
And it was really interesting. And he said we have to get the scientists with the right fishermen.
Yeah.
We need to be able to catch the right fish.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times those two don't connect real well.
And that's true.
It was a really interesting conversation.
So what he's mentioning is cooperative research or cooperative research projects, and citizen science is what they call it in the South Atlantic. And that's how he got into it. He was just a fisherman and then got linked up with the right scientists. But I would have a little bit of a different spin to that question. And I'm kind of jealous you got to meet the guys from OSearch. That's really awesome. But the big thing in the Gulf and the big challenge that I see in the Gulf of Mexico and the Southeast in general is talking again this past week to these people from other areas. It further amplified our problem in the Southeast, and that's the South Atlantic, the Caribbean, and Gulf of Mexico Fishery Management Councils. 3 of 8 councils are all under the same science center. There's one science center in Miami. It's called the Southeast Fishery Science Center. They're in charge of handling all the science for the entire South Atlantic, Caribbean, and Gulf of Mexico. So from Brownsville, Texas, to the northernmost point of North Carolina, the United States Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, that science center handles that entire load, plus HMS, or highly migratory species like sharks, and ICAT, which is an International Association of Atlantic Tunas. So crazy amount of science that goes through this one science center where, for example, red snapper, that great red snapper count that happened recently in the Gulf was a $12 million research study that only was 2 years long, focused on one species. The entire survey budget for the Southeast Fisheries Science Center is $12 million. So they spent the entire survey budget of this science center that's in charge of basically 5 different councils in 1 year on one species, well, in 2 years on one species. And that guy, Chris, from OSearch, they've got a 70, 80 foot, I don't know, some sort of huge research vessel with its own lab, and they travel the world. They're really well funded for their research on sharks. Those little tags that they use on those great whites, those radio tags are like upwards of $700 a tag. And they're sticking them in sharks all over the country.
The beauty of what he's done is he went and got people like Costa Del Mar and like Yeti and all that to help sponsor this stuff, to make what he's doing possible. Mm-hmm. And it bothers me on the political side. I don't want to turn this into a political conversation, but when you're talking about a multi-billion-dollar industry, that we can't get any effort from our politicians to fix this problem. Yet we light up the Skyway Bridge, yet we build a new pier in St. Pete. We do all these ignorant things with our money instead of making sure we take care of the stuff at the bottom of the pyramid. And I'm not against lighting up the Skyway Bridge or building a new pier in St. Pete, but we have to allocate the money to the things that needed to be allocated to first.
Yeah.
You can't just spend money on the stuff that doesn't need to be done. We don't need any more palm trees on I-75, okay? That money needs to be allocated to stuff that matters to this, to the Gulf states.
And I agree. But what you're talking about is the difference between different purses of money. So like lighting up the Skyway and adding more palm trees to the interstate, that's FDOT. And a lot of what FDOT does, even if FDOT was like, we want to spend money on fisheries research, they couldn't because it's money that's been allocated to a different government entity. What we need to do is start higher than that, because the federal fisheries science and the science that comes out of the Southeast Fisheries Science Center, that's NOAA fisheries budget. That's all done at Congress, at the congressional level. So once money's been allocated by Congress to, say, the state of Florida, then it's up to our governor to decide who gets that money. And once it gets to the state of Florida, it's never going to gag grouper research in the Gulf of Mexico, because that's federal level. So it really is a higher level thing, and really it comes down to lobbying congressional representatives for allocating more money to fisheries science. And that's who ultimately started that that great red snapper count. It was a couple of congressmen from the Northern Gulf that really got that money allocated towards that study, that project. So I don't know. I agree with you, and I agree with your sentiment and what you're saying. It's just, unfortunately, it's a bigger problem. But getting someone like Chris to go out there and beat the pavement and get on National Geographic or Discovery Channel and do that really cool research, the problem is it's a lot harder to raise money to do taking your word, Captain Mike Anderson, the less sexy research of going out and tagging gag grouper. It's not the same as pulling up a 14-foot white shark on the side of the boat and sticking a tag in it.
And here's the problem with that. I agree with you, and you're spot on. And I was thinking that the whole time. Is Chris's advantage is it's sharks. Yeah. And people are gullible. They all tune into Shark Week because they think they're so cool. And the people in the Midwest who never see a shark, they're like, oh, they're
Save
sharks.
The sharks.
They're so cool. Yeah, exactly. Which I get.
Yeah.
But the problem is that this is again $1 billion industry of the state of Florida alone.
$8 billion.
That is getting ignored by our politicians. Mm-hmm. This is where the problem comes in. And Ben Marshall, who does a lot of high-end construction stuff, very high-end, and works for a very reputable local college, and he understands budgets and all that. So he's, as I've peered into this conversation before on our Sunday show, he said the same thing. Well, that's FDOT money. It's not FDOT's money. It's our money. There is no FDOT money. It's our money. Mm-hmm. And that multi-billion-dollar industry that feeds so many people here in the state of Florida needs to be addressed. It's not FDOT's money. It was allocated to FDOT, but it started as our money. So we're the ones that have to go to the polls here in November and make sure we're putting the right people in place to take care of our money. And I didn't mean to turn this into that, but that's where I'm at. The minute you tell me, well, that's FDOT money, I don't give two rats keisters whose money it is. I don't care.
No, I get what you're
money.
saying.
It's our money.
And I get your
needs
sentiment.
To go to take care of, it needs to take care of what we need it to take care of. Not what they need to take care of, what we need.
Well, your good buddy Rubio, that's in his court. Congressional representatives are the people that you need to research. So there's a couple people asking, what do you do? How do you do that? Is you contact your congressman. And what's cool about that is they're a lot easier to get a hold of than you would think. You're not going to get a hold of a congressman, but you'll get a hold of one of their staffers. And if enough people call, things can really change. And that's where it kind of gets down to the nitty gritty. But it's tough to get a hold of someone like Marco Rubio, a career politician who's been in there for a while. They don't like answering the phones, but this is the time of year they will answer the phone because they're running for re-election. So this is a very small window of the time of year where you can get someone like that on the phone and actually listen to a project. But how's the fishing inshore, man?
You know what? I had a pretty good bite on Wednesday. Snook bite was pretty solid. I still had some incoming tide. Got to fish both sides of the tide, and both sides of the tide were pretty decent. I was optimistic on my trip for Friday, but Friday was a little tougher. On a straight outgoing tide, the snook weren't really interested. It was kind of a tough bite with a lot of captains that I talked to. Mm-hmm. The good thing was, there's so many mackerel around that we were able to kind of save the day and make it a mackerel and trout bite in some of the deeper edges. Yeah. Out off the beach, we caught a bunch of mackerel, probably 20 or 30 in one spot.
Nice.
So, and some nice mackerel. So that's the beauty of that. Now, interesting to me was, I thought, cool, the mackerel are here. as I was talking to some of what I consider some of the best in the business, Captain Glenn Taylor, Captain Billy Harmer, after our trip when we were all at the dock together, and they said, you know what's funny is, because I was like, God, it's so good to see those fish in that spot on the beach, and they said yesterday they weren't there. Yesterday they were,
Wow.
a quarter mile south. We started there a quarter mile south, and there was nothing. We caught like 2. So they had to bounce around. And he said every day for the last week and a half, they've been somewhere else, which I thought was interesting, because I started my trip in a spot where I had caught some mackerel on Wednesday, and that bite didn't happen for me. So I went snook fishing, and that bite didn't happen. That's how I ended up out on the beach chasing those mackerel on the beach for those guys. And I just thought it was interesting that,
They're moving
some of the
around
best.
much.
I mean, these are commercial mackerel guys.
Yeah.
So they stay pretty dialed in. They know the game pretty well. And they told me, they said, hey, we have not been able to get on them 2 days in a row in the same place. So something to remember, those fish are on the move. And I'm not sure exactly what's moving them around, but something is. I don't know if it's bait schools. I don't know. I just don't know. It's the wind kind of changing directions. Looks like we got some north wind coming early in the week, so maybe that's part of it. I don't know, but I do know that that's the game that we're playing right now. It's kind of,
Whack-a-mole.
well, you think you think you got it figured out. We're going to go fish here and we'll catch 25 or 30 mackerel. The mackerel have been in this spot, and you get there and they're not there. Doesn't mean they're totally gone. Doesn't mean, it just means you got to bob and weave and hit a few spots until you find them.
Stick and move.
Yeah, stick and move, exactly. So I tell my customers all the time, I said, at the end of the day, you might get in your car and pull out of the marina and say, you know what, he's just not very good. We didn't catch a lot of fish. But what you won't say is he's lazy. I'm gonna burn fuel, and I'm gonna keep moving until we find a bite, until we run out of time. So my good friend Captain Gene Hammond there, Reeling Freedom, likes to say we didn't get skunked, we just ran out of time. So that's kind of how it is. You just got to keep bobbing and weaving.
I like that one. One question I saw pop up here was, what about flounder? What's the best time of year to target flounder, in your opinion?
Yeah, for big flounder, I like July and August. And I catch my biggest flounder out in the middle of the shipping channel when we're snapper fishing in some of the deeper areas.
Okay.
A really good flounder. I will tell you that I'm shocked that fishery doesn't get more attention.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's in great shape.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about flounder is the first fish in the estuary to bug out when the water's bad. Mm-hmm. They live on the bottom. So needless to say, with our municipalities dumping wastewater and our issues with red tide here over the last couple of years, the flounder fishery, in my opinion, it's just not great.
Yeah.
I used to be able to go target a few, and I would say a few. I couldn't tell you that, hey, we targeted them and we caught 30 today.
Yeah.
That's probably not going to happen. But if you said, hey, we're in a tournament, we need a flounder, I had some spots where I could go to and possibly pull you out a flounder. That's been pretty tough to do here recently. I can't even tell you last time we caught one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so to me, that's a little disappointing, and I've had other guys kind of say the same thing. The flounder bite just isn't great.
What I find with flounder is we catch them obviously not inshore. Most of our flounder. I mean, I grew up fishing flounder off our dock, and the area that I caught big flounder growing up my whole life is now dry land, unfortunately. But we catch a lot of flounder near shore, 30, 40, 50, 60, even 80 foot of water adjacent to some of those big artificial reefs. So like you're saying, you are fishing those rock piles of Tampa Bay in June and July when you're targeting mangroves. We often catch those flounder in those really cool months behind cold fronts when we know a cold front's going to congregate fish on bigger structure. So we might go out there right behind a cold front, water's super murky, and we just go to the biggest structure we can find to try to produce some catch. And we're fishing live shrimp because the hogfish are around. And when the boat swings off that ledge or off that rock pile or off that reef, that's when we strike really big flounder, like 3-footers, that 30 to 36 inch, really big doormat flounder. And we used to do it a lot more. I would definitely agree with you. We don't see the numbers that we usually see, but I would suggest that the cool part about flounder is they also are offshore in a big way. So maybe a lot of those fish have moved offshore. Who knows? But I would agree with you. Definitely have seen a downturn in the flounder. But we're going to get into some more questions. What do you want to wrap up with? What's your parting piece of advice for folks listening?
Probably just that, pay attention to this water temp. As this water continues to cool, I'm getting a little personally and again, I know I'm blessed to do it every day, but I'm getting a little tired of chasing the snook and redfish around, which happens this time of year because I start to get that itch for the kingfish bite to happen.
Hopefully.
And with the amount of mackerel that we are seeing when we are getting into them, we're having the bob and weave to find them. But when we find them, that bite's ridiculous. Yeah. So to me, that's telling me that the kingfish can't be far behind. So I would kind of stay focused on that stuff, the mackerel, be ready for the kingfish bite. If you catch one schoolie, it's a good bet that you're going to catch a few more. Mm-hmm. So, have your tackle ready for that. I think that's going to be hopefully, and I'm praying for it, hopefully we have a really good fall kingfish run to just kind of offset our fall a little bit. And again, I love the snook and redfish, but, when you do it every single day, it's nice that you just, you get a kind of a change of pace there. So that would be my advice, is just to be ready, because those kingfish could be here any day now with this water temp.
Hopefully. We've been saying that since mid-September. And we did catch our first schoolie kingfish right before Ian, and then all of a sudden it just ceased, and the mackerel got a little sticky and a little bit harder and a little bit more finicky. Like you said, they're really, really sporadic and concentrated in small areas. So I'm just hoping and praying we do get that fall kingfish run, because we've been missing it. So here's the hope.
But I think we still have some freshwater influx.
Yeah, a big time.
That is keeping that. I think that's part of the reason they're moving around so much, personally. Mm-hmm. It's changed that salinity quite a bit, and it's not a fish that you normally find rocking and rolling in brackish water. So I think that's part of that movement. Yeah. Is that we've just had so much runoff. We've had really, really big outgoing tides here. Mm-hmm. The last week, that water was absolutely dumping out at the Skyway Bridge. I mean, dumping out. We were throwing the cast net, 20 yards from the bridge to get it to get down at the bridge. So whenever you have those big dumps and all that, and you have had all the fresh water that we had from Ian, that's just a big part of it, I think. So, as that reduces, those mackerel should kind of settle into their normal locations and quit moving around quite as much. At least that's what I'm hoping for.
Here's the hoping. Well, we'll miss you next weekend on the radio show, but maybe we'll see you on the live show.
Yeah, and I'll call in. I'll try to call in next week. We'll be getting going early. I'm going to be at the plantation on Crystal River for the Redfish Classic, taking my bride up there to fish with James Kerr and his wife in that event and support them. They're going to do a special deal up there and try to raise some money. If any of the listeners are interested in fishing a great tournament, they do a great captain's meeting the night before. They do a great dinner and tournament party after the tournament up there at the plantation on Crystal River. If you've never done it, it's a super good time. Beth and I had such a good time. We filmed it last year, and this year I'm just going up. Beth and I are literally just going to go up for the weekend, fish with James Kerr and his wife, and it's always fun to put my bride on some fish in that fishery. Their redfish bites going off right now. They have a grouper category and a trout category. So there's lots of opportunities and the grouper bite right now, that shallow water grouper bite's on fire as well. So, I hate to leave you hanging another weekend there, buddy, but I'm going to go fish Crystal River, but I'll call you with a report. How about that? All right.
Sounds like a plan, brother. Tight lines. Thanks for calling in.
I appreciate you, and to all your listeners, you got great taste. D-Hubs is one of the best. Keep up the good work, my friend.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you, brother.
All right, brother. See you, pal.
Oh, he's got to bring up the Crystal River gag fishery. It's definitely different up there in Crystal River. They do things differently. They fish differently. It's a cool place and very interesting to say the least. Different world once you get that far north, and it's not that far north. That's what's so cool about Florida is fishing here in Tampa is completely different than fishing just a little bit further north in Crystal River. So very, very cool place for sure. And then you move a little bit further south. Unfortunately, Ian did a number on it, but Marco Island, Port Charlotte area is a different country. And then you move a little bit further south from that, you've got the Everglades. Then a little bit further south, you've got the Keys. And I'm talking like we're not very far in distance from each other, but Homosassa to Key West might as well be two different countries. It's completely different fisheries. So that's what's really cool about the state of Florida is you could literally spend your whole life traveling around and getting completely different fishing experiences. It's a cool place to live and a better place to fish, let me tell you. So we were on the phone with Mike for a little while. I'm going to get into some more of your questions, but before we do, we got to give away our Salinity Gear gift pack. That's right, our free Salinity Gear gift pack we're going to give away now. You win a free Salinity Gear shirt. You got to tell us your size and whether you want a hood or no hood on your fishing shirt. And you got to text us your size and home address, whether you want a hood or not, within 5 minutes to that phone number on the screen. So let's see who the lucky winner is of our Salinity Gear gift pack. Amy Heald. Amy Heald. Congratulations, Amy from Tampa. Another local winner. That's pretty cool. And another lady. So we got a little bit of a trend going tonight. Amy, don't forget you got 5 minutes or less to claim that free trip by texting the phone number on the screen. We still got a 5-hour half day for 2 guests and a 39-hour trip for 1 to give away 2. We got some more questions to get to, so let's see what our next question is. How's the kingfish bite on the 5-hour trip right now? We just talked about that a little bit with Capt Mike. We're seeing a lot of mackerel, just not kingfish. We caught our first one, and we were hoping that we were going to see more kingfish, but just really haven't been able to get those kingfish rolling as of yet. So I'm hoping we'll be able to pick them up, but I don't know. Next question from Stan. How can we see how a congressman is voting? So I assume you're talking about as far as trying to pick someone who's going to pay attention to the fishery. It's really difficult, and that's the tricky part. I can tell you the people who are currently representing Florida haven't really done the greatest job of that. And I'm hoping that we can start a little bit lower in the House. The House of Representatives is a little bit easier to pay attention and get in contact with. And we used to have a House of Representatives person in Pinellas County. I'm going to blank on the name. David Jolly. I didn't blank on the name. He was awesome, and he met with us a lot, talked about fisheries issues, tried to raise some of those in the House, and then it's kind of gone downhill since. We have a political candidate right now running who I have a lot of faith in and has talked to me quite a bit. So I don't know. It really comes down to just doing a little bit of research, trying to figure out where they lie. But I can tell you the politicians who are in there now that have been in there a while, Republican, Democrat, it doesn't matter. It's not really a political thing. I mean, this is our fishery. It's our resource. This is our livelihood. And even if you live in Orlando, this is kind of your livelihood. If we don't have clean water and healthy resources, no one's coming to Orlando either. So, and our whole entire state revolves around our tourist industry and our water. If our water isn't good, we don't have people coming here. We don't have a state tax because of our tourism dollars. So state income tax is 0 in the state of Florida because of our tourism. So a lot of people always talk about, like, I don't like tourism. I don't like the busy roadways. I don't like traffic. You don't have a state income tax because of tourism. So I always kind of giggle when I hear people talk about that and complain about that. James McCullum, appreciate those 50 stars, buddy. And then also Danny Lopez with 300 stars earlier. Thank you, Danny and James, for the stars. Let's see. The other question was about red snapper. So we've mentioned in the past that red snapper potentially might reopen for us at Hubbard's Marina with an extended fall season. We are supposed to be finding out about that any day. A lot of people calling, texting, messaging us a lot about that. You guys aren't going to miss the announcement. I mean, we do daily videos. We do post multiple times a day. If you're a supporter, I can literally tag every supporter. You are not going to miss my announcement. If they announce it is going to open, it's not going to open, you won't miss it. Trust me. I'm going to make sure everybody knows. But unfortunately, we have no news. So the answer is we still don't know. But I spent this week with the right-hand lady who's kind of in charge of the Southeast at the regional office, and she is supposed to be getting back with me tomorrow about what she thinks we will see. So who knows? Who knows? We could have a few extra days of red snapper, or we could not. Hurry up and wait. Brian Eakins, appreciate those 100 stars. Thank you very much. Dennis Woodcocks, did the big boat get additional 110 outlets and sleeping areas? No, we did not rewire the boat and run additional wiring because that requires totally resubmitting wiring plans to the U.S. Coast Guard's MSO office or Marine Safety Office in Washington, D.C. So if I wanted to put a new outlet in with 110 AC 110 power, the issue is we would literally have to change our wiring plan, send it to Washington, D.C., wait 6 to 8 months, have it approved, then tear out the walls, run the new wire, have to have the Coast Guard come down and inspect the new wiring, then close it in the walls, finish up the project, have the Coast Guard come down again and say, yep, you're good, before we're able to run another trip. So it would literally be almost 10 months of red tape, paperwork, and inspections to be able to add more power outlets. So it's not likely going to happen. And it's a huge, huge task to change structural or wiring plans, or even to change a generator, an old generator, to put a new generator in. If it's a different size generator or has a different weight, it's a huge amount of paperwork, time, and energy, and we have to jump through a lot of bureaucratic red tape, and that's all in the name of keeping our guests safe. To be a U.S. Coast Guard inspected vessel is a huge, huge hurdle, and really takes a lot of effort, time, energy, and money to do. We really have to cross our T's and dot our I's with the Coast Guard. So no, we're not going to be changing our wiring layout, unfortunately. But those are types of things that we've learned over the years. Now it seems like everybody needs a CPAP machine, and we need more outlets on the boat. So we will definitely have more outlets if we were to design another galley or another sleeping area on a different boat or a new boat, hopefully. I have a question. What is a good speed and depth if you wanted to troll off the back of one of your charter boats? So 5-hour half days, 39-hour and 44-hour trips go a good speed and depth, about 7 to 9 knots. And as far as depth, you just want to kind of put it back far enough to get outside of the prop wash, and then you stagger the depths. So if there's other people trolling, you kind of, one stays short, one goes long, and vice versa, and you kind of stagger it. And it definitely works well as long as everybody's working together. Let's see, what other questions do we have here? Well, Josh, I'll let you take it because you've been kind of following it. What's the latest on dredging John's Pass? Another great example of efficient government entities. The money has been allocated. The money showed up. The city's been pushing hard. The mayor's been pushing hard. The city commission's been pushing hard. The city planner's been pushing hard. But unfortunately, it kind of hits a roadblock at the county. The goal, the talk, the plan was to start dredging November 1st, but I don't believe they've even bidded the project yet. So probably isn't going to happen until end of 2023, which is really frustrating. So I'm waiting a little bit more time and before I start kind of throwing some fuel on that fire, but it's not looking good to be done anytime soon. Jim Evans, appreciate those stars, buddy. Thank you so much. We're going to give away our 5-hour half day for 2 guests, and then we're going to answer one more question, give away our 39-hour trip, and then we're going to wrap this show up. Okay, guys? So let's see who won our 5-hour half day for 2 guests. Brian Engel, congratulations, Brian from Pinellas Park. You just won a free 5-hour half day for 2 guests. That's awesome, man. Make sure if you're picked as a lucky winner, you got 5 minutes or less to claim it by texting us at the phone number right there to prove you're watching live. Let's see. Very nice. Someone being friendly on YouTube. Thanks for the heads up, guys. Cracks me up. Trying to do a good show and have a good time, and someone's got to be negative. It's motivating. It's very motivating when we get under people's skin so much that they take time out of their day to be negative and hateful. It's very motivating to me. It means I'm doing something right. What's the return time for the 39-hour trip? The 39 hours always leave at 3 p.m. and return at 6 a.m. 2 days later. We still be going out deep on the 12-hour extreme. We generally fish anywhere from 120 to about 180 foot. And this Tuesday is our jigging trip on the 12-hour extreme. It's a slow pitch jigging only trip this Tuesday. But unfortunately, right now, Captain Joe and I and Captain Rich are going to be on that boat. And I was super excited about it. But it's looking very, very bumpy Tuesday. That cold front continues to be scheduled to come through Tuesday morning like it is right now. Probably going to have to cancel that jigging trip, unfortunately. But very, very frustrating. So we'll see. Hopefully it doesn't happen. Hopefully the cold front slows down and doesn't affect our jigging trip. But as of right now, it doesn't look very good. Earl Webb, appreciate those 50 stars. Thank you so much. Let's see, what other questions do we have? Thought we had a mini red snapper season the last couple of weekends. So no, the red snapper season that's going on the weekends is an FWC private recreational red snapper trip or red snapper season. It's for private anglers on private boats. We'll let you know what our season is. Our season was June 1st through end of day, August 18th. And if we have extra days, we'll make sure you know about it. We'll make sure to make it clear to you. You won't miss out, that's for sure. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the show tonight. Jeremy, the slow pitch jigging trips are listed on our website. Go to hubbardsmarina.com, click fishing trips, click long range, click slow pitch jigging trips. You'll see the dates for this year on that schedule. And then we'll be planning some more for next year. Remember, our 2023 trips, that schedule will come out December 1st at 11 a.m. December 1st at 11 a.m. Stay tuned for our 2023 trip schedule. That's when you can start booking trips for 2023. We got our supporters after show starting up 9:55 p.m. If you are in our supporters group, we'd love to have you join that supporters after show at 9:55 p.m. If you're not a supporter, it's only $4.99 a month for the entire month, less than $5, and you get private access to that private after show. You get a lot of cool behind the scenes information and more one-on-one kind of connections. So hopefully you'll think about becoming a supporter. Also, don't forget, do we have upcoming events? We had our Bass Pro Shop seminar today. It was a lot of fun over at Bass Pro. We will have another Bass Pro Shop seminar coming up in November sometime. I just don't have a date for it yet. The Florida Guides Association meeting, that's November 1st at Gator Jim's Tackle at 6 p.m. That was going to be really geared towards guides and fishing guides only. We've kind of changed paths a little bit. So November 1st at 6 p.m., you can actually come out and join us at Gator Jim's Tackle. And we are going to open it up to the public, and it's going to be really, really cool because we're going to be doing Hurricane Ian donations. So you can come down, attend, donate to Hurricane Ian relief. That relief fund that the Florida Guides Association will be raising on the night of November 1st at 6 p.m. at Gator Jim's Tackle. That money will be going to join the funds from NACO, the National Association of Charter Boat Operators, and Florida Guides Association, and we'll be teaming up to pass that money out to fishing industry guides in the charter or party boat industry that were affected by Hurricane Ian. So kind of a super specific charter fishermen helping other charter fishermen, or charter guests helping other charter guys, and basically helping the fishing industry and Fort Myers area recover from the storm. So we'll be making sure that we pass out that information if you're so inclined to donate on behalf of the Florida Guides Association. And check out the Florida Guides Association on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. You can follow us, also Twitter, I believe. But check out the Florida Guides Association, especially on Facebook and Instagram. Make sure you follow them. Don't forget to follow me, Captain Dylan Hubbard, on Facebook and Instagram. Check out Hubbard's Marina on TikTok, Snapchat, LinkedIn, YouTube, Trovo, Twitch, Waypoint TV, the Nextdoor app. Follow Hubbard's Marina on every one of your social medias, even Pinterest. We've got a Pinterest, we've got a LinkedIn, we've got it all. So check out Hubbard's Marina on every single social media platform you can think of. We've got a page, and we do use them. So make sure you check us out, follow us. And if you see something that Hubbard's Marina posts, please like it, comment on it. Even if it's not anything that you're really super interested in, give us a thumbs up. Every time you like or interact with one of our posts, it helps us to reach more people. So really, really helps when you guys like or comment on our posts. Want to give a shout out to our sponsors over at Real Animals Fishing Show, Garmin Electronics, Yamaha Outboards, Bass Pro Shops, Engel Coolers, Salt Strong, and Aquatic Nutrition Sport Fishing Chums. Make sure you say thanks and check them out for us. Earl Webb, thanks for those stars, buddy. Want to give a shout out to everybody who sent stars, and I appreciate all of those supporters. You guys make this show possible. And, of course, our friends over at Gator Jim's Tackle, 3301 Pinellas Point Drive South in St. Pete. Check out our friends over at Gator Jim's and make sure you tell them Hubbard's Marina sent you. With that, it is time to wrap up this live stream show. Also, don't forget to check us out on TikTok. We're building up our TikTok channel. Hopefully, we'll be able to do our live stream show next week from TikTok. And we've got a new website coming out this week, a brand new, refreshed website coming out this week. So stay tuned for that. Let's find out who won our 39-hour fishing trip for one guest now. And then remember, if you're a supporter, 9:55 p.m., the Supporters After Show starts. Hopefully you'll join us for that. Don't forget, if you're too busy to go fishing, you're just too darn busy. We'll see you tomorrow morning for our morning video. And hopefully we'll see you soon out at the dock at Hubbard's Marina. Tight lines, y'all. Let's see who the lucky winner is of that 39-hour trip for one. DeNorris Hall from Birmingham, Alabama. Congrats, Norris. You and your family and friends coming down all the time from Alabama, driving that long distance to come fish with us. Y'all deserve it. Pretty cool. Good people that won that one. So Remember to claim your free trip. You got 5 minutes or less. Y'all have a good night. Tight lines. Don't forget, if you're too busy to go fishing, you're just too darn busy. And thanks for tuning in tonight and joining us. I felt like it was a good time and a great show. And obviously it was, because we upset some people, and they had to add some hate to the comments. So that's always a good sign. We're doing something right. Y'all have a good night. Tight lines. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week and every Sunday night, 8:30 p.m. right here on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Trovo, Snapchat, TikTok, all those channels. Y'all have a good night. Thanks for watching.